that projectile, and it's going to go further because it's heavier and it was going at 100 miles an hour and all that kind of stuff. But so what are some of the sort of things for like the motor vehicle? That's what I was saying earlier about the motor vehicle operators and their proximity to the bikes. How far away should somebody be? What's a safe distance, do you believe?
I would say, you know, 10 to 15 feet, you know.
So, okay, so you want to
away,
give,
at least, you know.
right.
I mean, obviously, you know, it's stopping a motorcycle is not like stopping a motor vehicle.
Right.
So you want that extra space, and you know, and the driver, you know, the driver always, you know, you don't want to get right on a motorcycle either, you know, because.
What is it, 2 seconds or something you're supposed to?
Yeah, two or three seconds at least.
Distance?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And what about other safety items do you believe that riders should wear? You had brought some other examples of, so you believe gloves is appropriate for?
Absolutely, a good thick pair of leather gloves like these here. A good thick leather jacket, reflective gear if you can manage reflective gear. Good solid pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if in case, you know, if you do fall, you know, and a good pair of riding boots.
Mm-hmm. And so what about seasonal variations in riding? What are some obstacles to worry about then? I mean, especially like people now, there's a lot of potholes because it's pothole season. And so people should be aware of motorcycles moving among the potholes, because as a car, I drive four-wheel drive pickup truck, I don't care, I just, bam, I'm gonna, you know, do you know what I'm saying? But a motorcycle can't go through the potholes. So do people need to be aware of the motorcycles weaving for the potholes and leaves and puddles? And
yeah, when in doubt, always look twice. You know,
okay.
When you're a motorist, regardless, always, you know, look twice, look 3 times if you have to. You know, that'll prevent an accident.
Okay. And what about some of the other sort of impediments that people have to be wary about with motorcycles, like bridges and those bridge buttresses? Because those things turn smooth and all of a sudden
absolutely
you're like on ice.
And the wet weather, obviously, you know.
Right.
Those are very slick during the wet, you know, the wet weather.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just keep your distance away from the best advice I can get is just keep a good distance away from motorcycles.
Pretend it's a fire truck.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
then just stay 300 feet back. And so what about, I had asked about children, and you had mentioned something about sometimes that it's been observed people riding with the kids in front of them. That can't be.
That's a violation. That's unacceptable. That's common sense.
Right.
You know, that's a no-no. I mean, on the mass law, you're not supposed to have somebody in front of you, seated in front of you on a motorcycle anyway. Only behind you.
Okay. Okay. And what I mean, common sense wise, an appropriate age for somebody on the back of the motorcycle, I know you can't provide a professional comment, but I mean, I would think that if you can't drive yourself, I mean, you shouldn't necessarily be on the back of a motorcycle out on you know, thoroughfares with traffic, because one of the things that people don't understand is as soon as there's an impact, the first thing that people do is they move to brace themselves for that impact. So though they think they're clutching their boyfriend with arms of steel, the first thing they do is neurologically is flail. And because it's a neurological response. It's like when you take a baby and you go like this and they pop their arms out. Just think of your baby on the back of the bike. She's going to pop her arms out.
Yeah.
So she's a projectile all of a sudden. And that unfortunately is what happened to the trainer. She became a projectile.
Sure.
He was found in, you know, without any apparent injuries, but he also passed away. But she was not, from what the reports are, not found in any way that could have ever been saved. And so because she became a projectile. So when you think of scene safety, so say somebody comes across a motorcycle accident, what's something that they should do? How should they respond?
Oh, immediately stop and render. Obviously, you want to alert EMS, get EMS rolling, and if you can render any type of first aid, you know, render first aid if you can, if you have, you know, if you have the training or if you have the proper ability to do so.
Okay, and so site security is really important. If they have a vehicle where they could park it in such a way that
absolutely.
it would protect the victims, they shouldn't be moved because there could be a possibility of head injury, especially
C-spine injury. Yep.
Yep. And what are some of the things, like some of the cell phones now have GPS in them, and you know, whether people know or don't know it, it's not really important. But how about identification of the crash site? Here in Burlington, it's a little easier because it's populated, fairly populated. But say you're in Texas, good luck. But what are some of the ways that, you know, things that people could provide information about in relationship to identifying where the accident scene is?
Well, for example, if you're up on the highway and you come across a motorcycle accident, look for the nearest mile marker. Obviously, try to identify which side of the highway you're on, northbound, southbound, and look for the nearest mile marker if you don't know exactly where you are.
Okay, and what are some of the questions that they might expect to receive from the dispatcher if they dialed 911?
Whether the victim is breathing, conscious or alert, okay. Bleeding out, you know, what type of injuries he or she may have.
Okay, okay. And I'm trying to think of, so what are some of the sort of other safety considerations relative to motorcycle and car operation? We did talk about alcohol, and we've touched a little bit on cell phones. It's illegal to text on a motorcycle. And I'm not really sure how you would use your cell phone, but I know some of those big Honda Cruisers, they have their cell phone helmets and cell phone radios, and you know. Yeah,
just pull over. I mean, it's all common sense, Rick, as you know.
Right.
It's so demanding operating a motorcycle, you know, with your hand-eye coordination, that you really shouldn't be doing anything else. You know, and you're scanning defensively for other drivers,
right,
or what they may be doing.
Okay. And what about some of the, I mean, one of the things that's important to understand is that there's a lot of motorcycle groups out there that ride socially to raise money for different social events. I know some of the people that I know, they ride all the time for different events where there may have been a loss of life, or there may be a child that has a heart disease or something like that, and they're trying to raise some money for that. Sometimes they ride in big groups and people want to get past them, because what about passing a motorcycle? What's an appropriate way to pass a motorcycle? Because I know when I only pass on the left, because though sometimes the motorcycle's out on the right-hand side, I only pass on the left. That way there's a certain rhythm to people passing. Is there a law about which side you should be passing on?
I'll have to research more on that, Rick, but you know, yeah, as long as you activate your directional, you know, and you move off to the left, and you just pass safely, you know, okay. Not at a high rate of speed, you know, and you look, if you look in the mirror of the motorcyclist, if they can't see you, if you can't see their eyes in their mirror, mm-hmm. then you're in their blind spot.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind when passing.
Okay. Okay. And what are some of the sort of common issues or mistakes that you see some of the people making here in town, motorcycle riders or motor vehicle operators? I mean, running the stop sign's a big thing I see around town. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, running the stop signs and, you know, pulling, the main thing I see is you'll have a driver pull out in front of a motorcycle, not giving that motorcycle enough time to stop. Mm-hmm. You know, and being a driver, you should realize that it takes more time to stop a motorcycle mm-hmm. than it does than a vehicle. So and give that extra couple of minutes.
Okay. And so as far as the issues of the motorcycle safety, and I'm trying to get to a question and I'm not really figuring out how. So what are things that are common issues relative to motorcycle riders, and every bike has to be registered?
Correct.
So even every bike over 49 cc's, I think it is,
yep,
it has to be registered.
Correct.
And so you have to be a licensed operator to operate one of those motorcycles.
Correct.
And so one of the things that I often see is people not having licenses and operating some of those scooters. They're not allowed to do that.
Correct. I mean, it's like operating anything without a license. It's the same thing. It's a criminal offense in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And you could be arrested.
And they all have to wear helmets.
Correct. In Massachusetts, there is a state helmet law.
Okay.
Correct.
And so what are some of the rides you've gone on as a motorcyclist that are been of most sort of enjoyment for you?
Well, I'm the president of a local motorcycle club. It's the Renegade Pigs Motorcycle Club, and we're a public safety motorcycle club comprised of active and retired law enforcement and firefighters. So we do a lot of fundraisers, and we do a lot of police, public safety sort of type of organized rides. So I do about 3 or 4 of those a year.
Okay, and where are some of the places you guys most often ride? I know that so a lot of, like, I am employed by the Sheriff's Department, and they do a lot of rides. They probably ride every weekend.
Yep.
And they often, the rides are open to everybody. You just have to pay the fee, whatever the fee is for the ride, and some of the fees are, you know, I've seen the fees from 15 to 50, and it depends on sort of what the event is going to include. So what are some of the rides that you guys have gone on, or is there any rides in particular that you'd like to bring attention to?
Yeah, we do like the Blessing of the Bikes. It's sponsored by the Blue Knights every year. We do our club we hold a lot of charity fundraisers for a lot of fallen firefighters or police officers. So we attend a lot of those events. Yeah, there's so many, it's so hard to list, Rick. Pretty much all over the state and in the New England area.
Right.
You'll see us.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Forrest. So, did we go through all the slides? Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure we covered everything. So, I guess for any closing comments, hoping for a safe summer. There hasn't been a motorcycle injury yet in Burlington, has there?
All I can, my biggest thing is look twice, save a life.
Okay.
Keep that in the back of your head, and you know, and have a safe summer.
Okay. And don't forget to take the registry-approved motorcycle safety class, because I know in Texas that you have to take it, which is really sort of, I was saying to Officer Reyes, it's sort of funny to see the big Harley riders taking the safety class on the little Honda 450s that they used at one of the dealerships where they taught the class, and there was their Harley parked, you know, so that they could get the insurance discount. Because some of those Harleys down there are really something.
No, it's worth the 10% off your insurance coverage too.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
so.
when you're insuring a $70,000 bike, the insurance premium is something else.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were talking about $4,000 and $5,000 premiums, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'll take the 10% because that's $400 right there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, even if you're an experienced rider, I mean, they show you a lot of great tips. They show you a lot of good stuff, you know.
So what do you ride?
I ride a Harley Davidson Street Glide, a 2009 Street Glide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That in itself.
So I enjoy it.
Well, we're gonna put an end to it right now, because otherwise we'll be just sitting here talking about air. And what we want to do is keep you on the seat, in the saddle, and off the pavement. So I really hope that you take heed to some of the information that was provided, and to remember the loss of life is significant and great, and the impact is long-lasting. I know that with the young woman who died from our gym, there's been several of the members who've gone up there and continued to view, because the impact was so great, the loss was so significant. And I know I went to the memorial service that they held for her, and her father was a great big man, but he was nothing but a bowl of jelly on that day. And you know, the only jelly there should be is the jelly that we spread on our toast. So thanks a lot, and I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you'll tune in again, and look forward to having Ken Donnelly and Ken Gordon in the month of May. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.
Hopefully I was helpful.
Oh yeah.